Hi guys, hello. Hopefully it will start to click in a minute. Um, Hi, thanks for joining me today. Just waiting for Facebook to catch up. This is the first time I've run an event in Facebook, so it's saying it's streaming into the group and into the event. So hopefully you can see me. If you're jumping in, please let me know. Send a little message in the comments. And then hopefully I can see what's happening. So, so hi, just while I'm waiting for everyone to come in, just sort of checking in with everyone really. It's been, I don't know about everyone else, but it feels a bit like Groundhog Day at the moment, doesn't it? Where we're in this lockdown and we're struggling with just generally kind of functioning through day to day. What I wanted to do today was to think really purposefully and intentionally around goals. We'll just wait for a few people to jump in and we'll get started. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Claire Elms and I'm an emotional wellbeing consultant. So what that consists of is I do a lot of therapeutic interventions with children and families and adults, and I'm a qualified play therapist. I do EMDR. I do EMDR is like a trauma-based approach. I do CBT. I do solution-focused work. There's lots of stuff that I use within my kind of therapeutic interventions work, and I also work with as a life coach. So last year I pivoted into life coaching. And so I do life coaching and NLP, and my main focus within that is focusing on the side of life coaching I really like doing is around routines, boundaries, lifestyle stuff, and career coaching. It's been amazing with COVID, the amount of people that have wanted a change of career or wanted support around their existing career to look at kind of how to move things in a different direction. So I think sometimes taking that step back, you kind of are able to look a bit more about what you want. So yeah, and the other part of what I do is I support others. So I support other professionals in aligned fields. So I do, I'm currently doing some work with schools in terms of emotional wellbeing for staff, as well as looking at really complex young people that they're struggling with their emotions and looking at how we can support them. I also support other therapists and other trainees that are going through training to become therapists. So there's lots of stuff I do around sort of supporting professionals and wider network stuff as well. So that's a little bit about my background. I set up my company in 2008, but I've been not on social media until last year. So this is all still very new to me. I am enjoying just kind of getting used to the different platforms and how everything works. So if you are in live, it doesn't tell me who you are. So if you're in live, please drop a message, say hi. I seem to have lost the comments button, so I don't even know if I can see who's on, but I might just, while we're talking, get that on my computer so I can check in with you guys as well, because there used to be a comments button, which I seem to have lost. So it'd just be really helpful. Just if while we're talking you want to kind of drop in and say hi, let me know you can see me, and let me know why you're here would be also another great thing to understand and be part of. Really, I want to be part of what's going on for you, and help you as much as possible in this process. So we will get started. I started thinking about how I can help people with their kind of goal setting, and what I know a lot of us do is that we set goals that are maybe a little bit over ambitious, or things get in the way because we don't set them in the right way, and then we never achieve them. There's so many people that go, at Christmas time, right, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna join the gym, or I'm gonna get into my fitness, and then come February, March time, they're like done. And I'm quite interested in the psychology behind that, because it kind kind of feels that that particular goal it's not fully aligned to them as a person, which then means that you struggle to complete it because it's not fully aligned to what you're actually wanting to do. So I've done in my group, I've done something called the COVID Crusher, which is about kind of goal setting and habit building and things. So if you're finding this interesting, it's like a 4-day challenge that we ran back in October. I'll probably run another one again at some point when lockdown is done. So it would be really helpful to, for some people to get involved in that, have a look at it, and understand kind of where you're at and what you're doing. So for today, it's kind of almost like the bit before that. It's kind of like when you're at a point of like, I know I've spoken to loads of people in the last couple of weeks who are just generally struggling to function day to day. And, this lockdown seems to have hit everybody a lot quicker. And I think it's to do with how we experience the world and stuff, and how, what's going on for us. And quite often when we're experiencing the world, we've gone back into kind of like, oh, it's lockdown again, and that sort of feeling. So I'm hoping to, by the end of today, to bring you into a different place in terms of your intentions, and really getting a clear focus on your intention for the day. So I think it's really important when we set goals to look at where things have been the last year, because we need to set a goal that's kind of on par with where we're at and where we're going. There's no point in me saying I'm gonna, I don't know, go and run a marathon if I can't run a 5k. There's a process, yeah. So I think the first thing is like to really unpick the last 6 months, a year, whatever you want to do, whatever's good for you, just to look at like where you've been in your life and like what you've achieved. Like, what did you achieve last year? Well, most of us achieved a hell of a lot because we got through 2 lockdowns, and we got through really difficult different stage tiers, whatever they were classed as, working, trying our best to stay safe. So we can all kind of really value that. And I know a lot of people, we talk, don't we, about being grateful for being in the moment and all of that stuff. And I think when you're feeling really kind of like, it's really hard to process that. So I think it's good to kind of look at where we've come from, what you managed to achieve last year, and was there things that you struggled with? Was there things that you wanted to do differently? Because I think understanding that would be really helpful in terms of being intentional about goal setting. We kind of look at the past, the present, and the future to kind of to get like a real clear plan for goal setting. So looking at what you've already achieved is going to be massive, because I expect this time last year, when you went through the year, obviously none of us knew this that COVID was going to come, but I expect despite that you managed to achieve some really good stuff. So it would be great if you want to put it in the comments about what you've achieved, how you've achieved it, and we can then look at kind of actually unpicking to get you into a better place going forward. So that's sort of the first thing I wanted to say. Then thinking about what you want to do more and less of. So the stuff that probably worked really well for you last year, the stuff that probably didn't work so well. So looking at the bits that maybe you might have a really clear idea on what you want to do and what you want to focus on, or you might be like, actually, I really don't know. So doing that bit of work before we start sitting down going, right, what do I want to focus on, does kind of help us get a bit of clarity about what we've actually achieved. Because I think sometimes we're so caught up in what's going on that we forget, all the stuff that we've achieved in the last year, because it's been massive. For parents that have had kids at homeschooling, it's just, I think, when I was looking at doing bits from home, I would never even contemplated having my kids in the background when I was doing work before. And it became life, didn't it? And it became normal, and that's how it's been. And and I think for a lot of us, it's kind of given us an opportunity to think about actually how we want to be as well, because we're so used to being what we think we should be. But when you take the shoulds out, and you don't have to go to the office every day, and you don't have to do this, and you don't have to do that, and you can be a bit creative about how you want to work, it opens up doors to start to think about, well, actually, I could do this, I could do that. For me, I was looking at rebranding last year, I didn't think I'd be coming and doing Facebook Lives. The thought of presentations and anything before was like horrendous. I used to always find that really difficult. But you know, it just goes to show you don't really know where you're going to end up, do you? So you know, starting to think, oh, sorry, what's in my eye? Starting to think about what's really important to you, I think will help to take that kind of pressure a little bit and to help you sort of make some clear decisions about where you want to go to. You know, when we become aware of things, it starts to shift that change process. So kind of realising actually how far we've come. Sometimes we don't look at the journey, we just look at where we're at, and that we're not good enough when we compare to other people. So the more we can do that, the more we can kind of live in the moment and actually appreciate where we're at as well. There's loads of stuff that we do around kind of mindfulness, being present in the moment and really understanding what's going on for us. So I think when you start to, you know, a lot of the stuff I do with people is around, you know, their thoughts and their processes, and looking at what we can do to support them and how we can do it. Looking at helping you on the journey, helping you to really unpick those goals and get them into sort of what we call SMART targets, which I'm sure some people have probably heard the terminology SMART targets. Lots of people, that's quite a new thing. I kind of, in my head, because I've been doing it for so many years, I thought that everybody, it's something that a lot of people know about, but lots of people don't. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google SMART targets. But it's basically about being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. And the more that we can do that within the goal setting part of what we do, the more we can actually work something out that's going to work for us, that we're actually going to achieve, rather than just something that we think we should do. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in that sense. The other thing that I wanted to think about was like where we are in terms of our mindset on this stuff, because you know, to get fully intentional on doing some goal setting, we need to be in the right mindset, and we need to be thinking about what that mindset looks like. And I think when we start off, we don't really know where we're at, we don't know what we want to be doing, and it really helps us to focus our minds on where we're going and what we need to achieve. So I think kind of what I do a lot with people is getting them to fully just to take a moment to sit down, and it sounds a bit ridiculous, but just to take some big deep breaths, because when we do a lot of the breathing techniques that you know, most people in this line of work will go through, you know, if you can create some breathing techniques for you to help center you, it helps to create that balance for you, and it really helps to underpin kind of a lot of what we're doing and understand where we're at. So for me, I wanted to focus a little bit today on values, because when we are out of alignment with our values, we really struggle with creating goals, because we might create a goal that is either not aligned to where we want to be, or is so far out of reach that we then feel that we're not good enough for not getting there. So to sort of start with, I wanted to take you through sort of a bit of a values elicitation, really, just to start to think about some values. So I've got a list of lots of different values, which I will read out to you. There's also a values test you can do. I'll put the test in the comments so that you can have a look at the test. It doesn't take very long to do. It's just you just got to pick 10 from a list, which is quite difficult, because you kind of go, oh, that one. But if you pick 10, it gives you like a little kind of overview about your values. And quite often, if we are living to our values, it means that we have a bit of a sense of balance, and we feel better about ourselves, and we kind of functioning much better. When we're out of alignment with some of our values, that's where we have the difficulties. So and it's something that we quite often, we're not aware of. We're not because we think, oh yeah, that's our value. We don't necessarily think that we're not living to that. So there's a list here that I wanted to go through. Feel free to have a look at this thing as well, and I will pop it on the system so you can have a look. But the list of values I've got here are family, freedom, security, loyalty, intelligence, connection, creativity, humanity, success, respect, invention, diversity, generosity, integrity, finesse, love, openness, religion, order, advancement, respect, joy, forgiveness, excitement, goodness, clarity, pride in your work, encouragement, cooperation, affection, wealth, speed, teamwork, kindness, honesty, courage, balance, compassion, professionalism, relationship, knowledge, prosperity, wellness, gratitude, trusting your gut, giving people a chance, renewal, wisdom, caring, harmony, happiness, enjoyment, abundance, self-respect. There's so many different lists, by the way. You can go onto Google and you'll get like loads of different options. That was just a few that I kind of picked out. But if you have a look through some of the ones I've read, you know, rewind it, have a look, write it out for yourself, get really clear about top three. Top three values is really important when we're looking at kind of setting goals, when we're looking at being fully intentional with where we want to be and what we want to be doing. We need to make sure we're aligning it into what we believe in our core, you know, what's really important to us, really deep down. So that's something that is really important when we're looking at goal setting. It's a really important thing that we can kind of look at our values, and then it's like looking at what's behind the values. So something like family, you know, what does family give you? You know, for me, it gives me love. It gives me, you know, a sense of achievement, a sense of importance. You know, all of those things. So, like, kind of understanding what really gets you going will help you when you're starting to think about goals, like to help you motivated to make some changes. So I think that's a really important thing to focus on, and getting intentional about where things are in the current for you. So looking at what's going on for you with your values at the moment. Like, our values change all the time on a day by day. If we're living in the moment, you know, if we think about, you know, what's important to me now, might be completely different to me at lunchtime when I'm hungry, you know, which might be completely different to like when I'm at home putting the children to bed, you know. So the processes will become and evolve differently. So being really aware of like what's important, you know, what you value about work, what you value about family life, you know, all of those things will have a real important part to play within where things are at. So in terms of setting goals, something that's before we kind of start any kind of target setting, it's really important to look at kind of what we value, what's important. So looking at the values we've done, looking at what's important to us, what makes up like who we are. So I did something within the Cova Crusher, which I'll put in here as well so that you can have a look at it. If you draw a circle on a piece of paper, or you use the one that I'll put in here, and split it out into different sections, and then in the sections you just write the things that are really important to you. So it could be, you know, it could be family, it could be career, it could be fitness, it could be health, it could be anything, you know, whatever makes up, you know, you, whatever is important for you. And then with each one, looking at like on a scale of 0 to 10, so 10 is that you are so satisfied in that area that it is the best that it could be, and 0 is the complete opposite. Where are you? So when you start to actually look at each section, there'll be sections that will be, you know, you'll be more satisfied than others, but that's the bit that starts to help us to start to think about, okay, well, I'm not that satisfied with my health at the moment. Why is that? Oh, well, I'm not eating very well. Okay, so maybe one of my goals is about eating better. You know, so once we've started this process, it really starts to help us to get some real clarity around actually what is most important to us, because quite often we stay in our comfort zone. So will often set goals around something that's maybe already going really well. So it might be, you know, that I want to spend more time with my family. Well, actually, I'm already spending lots of time with my family, so that's a great goal to have. But it's not going to give you that motivation and success and achievement to then go in and do other things as much as, like, you know, setting a goal of something that maybe you're struggling with. It feels harder to achieve. So because it feels harder to achieve, we don't go there. We're like, well, we'll do that at some point. So getting really intentional about actually what is going to be better for you for your life, I think, is a really good starting point. So do have a look through the COVID Crusher, because in that I do talk through I talk through the wheel in more detail. We call it the circle of life. It's called all sorts of other things that are a variety of that. But going through that exercise in more detail, and also going through the SMART target setting, which is days 1 and 2 of the COVID Crusher, I think will really help you just to start to kind of pull out some of the things that are really interesting to focus on. And what I say to people is to, like, focus on, like, small targets. So don't, like, I think it's great to have overarching targets for the year. Like, by this time next year, I want to have achieved X, Y, Z, you know, and then breaking it down, you know, by the summer, I want to have achieved this. By, you know, like April, May time, I want to have achieved this. By the end of lockdown, whenever that might be, you know, for a lot of us where we have the children at home, it does mean that we have to be a little bit creative and realistic with what we're setting ourselves. So it's probably not the same as if you didn't have the children under your feet every 5 minutes, because we're trying to, it needs to be something that's going to be a realistic thing that we can achieve. I think, you know, a lot of people are basically at a point of burnout at the moment, because we're just trying to do everything. You know, we're trying to be parents, we're trying to you know, look after children, we're trying to homeschool, we're trying to do everything, look after ourselves, do our work. It's just, you can't, something's got to give. You've only got 24 hours in a day, right? So you can't do absolutely everything, because you will burn out. So it is looking at those, like, real specific targets that you can focus on each day. And the one thing, so I always speak to people about not focusing, like, it's great to know when you know your goal, it's great, because then you know where you're going. But it's a bit like, you know, focusing on the small steps, the one thing that's going to get you there. So say I live down on the south coast in the UK. I live in a place called Shoreham. If I wanted to drive to Scotland, right, that feels quite daunting. It's a long way away. However, you know, I wouldn't focus on that. I would focus on getting to the M25. So, you know, we're not talking about, you know, but for some people they might focus on, you know, getting out of the town that you're in. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be different for everyone, what their small step is and what their one thing is, depending on where you're starting from. So it's really important not to compare yourself to other people, and to focus just on yourself. This is about you making things better for you, not for anybody else. The ripple effect will come into everybody else, but I know as a parent, you know, quite often self-care is the bottom of the list. You know, us thinking about stuff for ourselves is quite often the bottom of the list. So looking at how you can support yourself is actually the most important thing, because once you've got yourself sorted, other things fall into place, and that's sort of taking things on its head from where you kind of feel that things should be, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I kind of feel like I've waffled a lot today. I hope I've given you some structure into, like, how to get intentional with where you're at. What you need to be doing will then evolve from your SMART target setting. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a bit more around SMART target setting, because I did a little bit in the COVID Crusher. I'll bring that into the group so that it comes back up into the front again. But feel free if you want some support around this, because actually getting targets and goals set right is half the battle. Once you know, like, what your actual target is, and actually by going through these steps it's going to get you to a certain place. It's like a means to an end sometimes we have to do things that maybe we don't necessarily feel that we should be doing to get to a place where we want to get to. So, you know, a bit like I driving to Scotland, no one wants to drive on the M25, do they? Let's be honest. But for me to get to Scotland, I would have to drive on the M25. So, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time to get to where you actually want to get to. But this process will really start to help you. I am doing quite a lot around mindfulness at the moment, so I will start to be bringing things into the group around not being mindful in the moment, because quite often when we're goal setting, we kind of think so far ahead and not actually focusing on like, well, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? You know, what am I doing now? What am I doing now that's going to make that kind of shift for me? And those are the bits that are really important, is to look at those like really small details. Hi, I don't know who's in. There's a few people that have been in and out, so feel free to catch up if you've kind of missed bits. So yeah, I think sort of to go, you know, actions from today would be to really look at what's going on with your values, make sure you're fully aligned into the processes for you, and then you can start, you know, once you've looked at the past, you've looked at your current values, you've looked at where you want to be, you can then start to think about where you want to get to. So yeah, so hopefully that's given you a little bit more around kind of being fully intentional around your goal settings. Do drop me messages if you need support around how to structure your goals, or you want to check in with whether the goals feel realistic. Feel free to send me an email, send me a message. You know, we can book in a 15-minute chat if that helps. I want to make sure that this support I'm giving you is helpful for you, and it's not just me ranting. You know, it needs to be something that you know you want to take on. And I think, you know, in the current climate with everything that's going on with the homeschooling and stuff, it's taking a break. I do quite a lot with my kids around kind of time blocking. So I make sure that I've got a little bit of time for my work where they can do something that they want to do, and then I look at you know, taking a break altogether, doing something altogether, because I think, you know, it's not realistic to, you know, with my age kids are much younger. I think even with teenagers it's quite a lot to expect them to spend a day on Zoom and things. So you know, I think it's just about just doing what you can and try not to overthink it or over worry about the different bits that you're not doing. Focus on the things that you have achieved, even if it is just a case of getting through the day and going to bed, you know. But being intentional helps you to start to plan in. Okay, so, you know, I know for me my focus has been very much on drinking water. I haven't been drinking enough water. In the winter I tend to not drink as much anyway, because I want more coffees and teas. so for me that's a big thing that I've been focusing on, to the point where I've now bought this massive bottle which has time scheduling bits out, like by 9 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, by 12 o'clock, you know, so that you can actually, and I know by 3 o'clock I look at it and go, oh, I'm still at about 9 o'clock, I need to drink a lot. If I'm kind of catching up on it, and it's about bringing things in slowly. So for me, that's now, I've been 2 weeks now doing that, and that's really helping me just to, you know, because I'm on meetings a lot on the phone, I'm managing the kids, I just don't have the time to sit and have a drink and, you know, and all of that stuff. So it's just making that time become part of it, you know. Quite often when we say I don't have time, it's because we're prioritising other things over things. So it's looking at where our priorities are. You know, for me that's a real priority, so I'm really focused on that at the moment. You know, everyone will have their little thing that they want to focus on, and, you know, the key is to just make it really achievable. But yeah, do drop me a message if you need to talk about it. Hope it's been helpful, and speak to you all soon. Take care, bye.